I'm working on mocking up the radiator support in the radiator. Got the fan and stuff all put on the front of the motor, but I've ran into something that's different for the 1956 year. The previous year, which the frame is, doesn't have holes on these outer parts. I guess there's just a bumper pad that maybe goes here on each side, but it doesn't go all the way through the support. In 56, they've got these grommets or bushings that go in, and the bolt goes all the way through to the support. So I went out to the 56 frame and took the measurements of where those holes are, so I'll just get those drilled and put in, which I don't see a big deal. Everything else looks the same. This is all just flat on the other frame. I bought the pad kit from mid-50, and then this didn't come with the kit, that's separate, but that goes right here on top of the frame, and then a bushing, and then the radiator support, and then a bushing on top. And then these go through here, and they're held on with some carriage bolts, but the kit comes with all the bolts and stuff that you need. So I'll get these drilled out and then try mocking it up again. Got the new holes drilled. These slotted holes is what the factory or the 56 frame had. How I did this is I just drilled the center line, or not drilled, I marked the center line and then marked the edges of the taper, and then I just took a washer and marked the, drew a circle to mark the end, drew a circle to mark the end, and then I took my step bit, which I love, and I drilled 2 holes, and I just did it one step at a time, then just kind of worked myself up to the 3/8 hole. And then once I did that, I tried a hand file, but the size of hand file I didn't have to notch that out. So I grabbed my carbide bit that I have for my die grinder, and I was just able to finish the slot in between the 2 holes. So that worked out well, and it looks the same as these. I don't know if there's a better way to do that, but that worked just fine. Making some progress on the fan shroud. This area here took more time than I thought. I had to pie cut it and do some bending and tweaking, and I had to put a few pieces on the back side to kind of reinforce it. It looks kind of ugly. I haven't cleaned it up or, of course, painted it yet, so I don't think it'll be too bad. The way the fan shroud's kind of been cut too isn't ideal either, but from what I've learned is you really don't want the fan to be completely recessed in here anyway. It's supposed to have a little bit of blade sticking out, which we're not going to get that. It's definitely in here, but it might not be completely in here. I don't know. It should be fine, I think. It doesn't have to be perfectly efficient. But what I'm planning on doing also is putting this cut on both sides, so I can take this top half off while it's in the truck. The way this goes in there, it's a pretty hard jiggle to get. You take the fan shroud off, put it against the motor, and then work the radiator down in there. It'd be nice just to be able to take the top piece off if I just need to service the fan or something, or get in there for whatever reason. So I've seen somebody else do that. I think that's a pretty good idea. So I'm going to put some little brackets on both sides to hold the fan shroud together in the middle, and see how that works. Here's how the shroud ended up turning out. I cut this side and just basically moved it in, and then I moved this side over, taking a piece of sheet metal there off that foam pedestal thing. I was going to split this in the middle and put flanges on it so the top could be taken off. I've seen somebody do that, and that was a pretty slick idea. I might come back and do that later, but I'm kind of leaning on maybe doing an electric fan on this. I was watching Engine Masters recently. They're on Motor Trend TV, I think, and it's actually a considerable power loss running even a clutch fan on these versus electric fan. So I might do that someday. I trust the reliability of the engine-driven fan, which is what I like about it. I've had problems with electric fans in the past. The sensor not picking up right and it not turning on, and just fiddling with it all the time. So you don't get that with the electric fan, but you definitely want to run at least a clutch. When they ran the ones without the clutch fans, or without the clutch in it, it was a dramatic decrease in horsepower. I mean, it was, I don't know, 30 horse or something crazy. So definitely at least run a clutch fan on your rigs if you're concerned at all about that. They're just a lot more efficient. So you can see here, I got it kind of the corners patched up. This was kind of funky here. I kind of had to pie cut it or whatever and straighten it up. It don't look real pretty, but nobody's going to see it other than me, I don't think, especially from that angle. So I'm hoping the way this is shaped still works okay. When it was in that 79 I'd mentioned, they'd cut all this out to make it fit that setup. So we'll give it a try. It's definitely better than not having a shroud, but it's not going to be perfectly efficient, I don't think, with this design, but I think it'll be okay. And here we are with the shroud installed. It's not probably perfectly where it's going to be upright until the fenders or the inner fenders and stuff get installed, so it all supports that. Core support, I guess is what that's called. So here's the other side. You can see where it was notched out, which from what I've heard is that would be fine anyway. The fan's supposed to stick out a little bit, so I guess in reality that other part ought to be cut off more, but I'm not going to mess with that. I think that'll be fine. Funny thing, this is the lower radiator hose off the Mustang. There's the part number there, Gates 21178, and it is on the Mustang. I think it's 1.5 inches, 1 3/4, but the hose was just barely long enough that I was able to cut off on this end the 1 3/4 to get into the 1.5 because it was just expanded on the end or formed to be larger on the end. So once I just cut that off, it's a perfect fit for this. So I was kind of happy to find that. The lower one, I just ordered a flex hose for it, so it'll be in, I think, this week. That's 1 3/4 inch, no, 1.5 inches. So just one of those universal ones. I couldn't find a formed one. I looked through all their hose numbers and stuff and just couldn't find one that was pre-formed, which I prefer. But the flexible one will work. It's got, you can see there, it's nothing real fancy to get up into there. Plenty of room to bend. Nice and easy, so I think that'll be fine. So no, I think this turned out fine. It looks good enough. So better not having a shroud, that's for darn sure. Not sure if I've mentioned, but I busted this thing off. That's the belt tensioner, and that's a reverse thread on that. And like an idiot, I put my impact on there and was taking it off, I thought, but I was actually tightening it up. And there's a little bit of an aluminum nipple that comes out that, oh wait, no, down here on the pulley. I was going to change the pulley. That's what it was. So that one's a reverse thread, because that's the one you use to put the wrench on to release the tension. So it has to be reverse thread, so when you do that, it doesn't loosen. But I wasn't thinking when I did it. Hit that with the impact gun. Broke off the little nipple that this pulley rides on. So it'd probably be okay, but that's not something I'd want to fail somewhere. So I ordered a whole new thing there, so that should be, it kind of sucks. It's like $50, the cheapest one I could find. So live and learn, I guess. So if anybody else does that, that's definitely a reverse thread on that idler pulley there. I was editing the video that you're watching today and realized that I didn't record, or thought I was recording, or something happened, and I missed the part about talking about the radiator and the hoses. Well, I mentioned the upper hose, but anyway, so I'm redoing that now. When I was shopping for a radiator, I was just going to go with the square style that you see in most rigs. They're kind of universal. And while searching for those, I came across this one off of eBay, and I'll add the info in the description of the video. But this is a direct replacement, factory shape, I guess, factory design. So that it matches the dimensions basically of the original, which is here. Has the same style tank, same mount. I mean, it mounted right up. It's really well made. The price difference, I think, was around $100 more than the universal style that does fit this truck as well. And this one has a lifetime warranty, where others may or may not. I don't know if the warranty's worth anything, but my thought is they're taking the time to make this design match the original. So my feeling is the build quality might be better. I'm hoping. The other thing that's really nice about this that I'll point out is the original, as you can see over there, the top port is in the middle, and on this one they moved it over to the side, and that's an efficiency issue, because if your fluid's coming in the middle, it's not going to it's going to have a harder time pushing itself, you know, through this whole side of the core, because the outlet's over there. So the most efficient design is a diagonal, so in this way, down out that way, or whatever, rather than in the middle. Now the middle's, I mean, it works obviously, but this is a better design. So I like that difference. You know, if you want total factory, I don't know if they make one of these with the center hole or not. I don't know if that really makes a lot of difference to people. But this, I mean, this sure looks nice in here. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is the lower radiator hoses and the belt. I've gotten rid of the smog pump, and I don't know if I mentioned it in earlier videos. I might have, but that's a shorter belt to do that. So I've got the part numbers here I wanted to share. So that's the upper radiator hose, the lower radiator hose, and then that shorter belt that I'm using. The lower radiator hose is a flexible belt. I ended up buying two. The first one I bought was too short. The second one was just right, so that's the correct number for the one that did fit. And again, this upper radiator hose has a flare on one end. I think this is inch and a half. This is the factory lower Mustang hose, if I remember right. And it's bailed on this end, so you just cut that bail off where it gets back into the inch and a half, and then the length is just perfect even after you cut it off of there. So I wanted to, which I think I've already mentioned that, but in case anybody's hose shopping. The other thing to mention about this real fast is this is a 2-core radiator instead of a 4-core, but they're larger aluminum cores, so they are supposed to be more efficient than a 4-core due to the efficiency of the tube size and all that. So these are supposed to be, I don't know how many horsepower rated, so it should be more than enough for this little thing, and it's going to be a heck of a lot better than the original one that I was using with the other 302 that was in this truck. So I never ever had a heating issue even with that one. So I expect this will be even more efficient than that.